You wake up after 8 hours of sleep and still feel tired. Not the kind of tired that coffee can fix, but the kind that sits in your chest and doesn't move. You check your phone. You scroll. You double tap. You laugh at something. Then, silence. Not outside, but within. A strange emptiness that no meme or message can quite touch. You're not sad. You're not joyful. You're just blank. And the scariest part? You've started to get used to it. If any of these sound like you, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not broken. You're just tired in a way that sleep can't fix. It's not about energy. It's about connection, or more precisely, the loss of it. There's a silence inside you that no amount of noise can cover. You wake up, go through the motions, meet the expectations, keep the appointments, but somewhere between surviving and scrolling, between smiling and replying, something essential went missing. This isn't depression in the clinical sense. It's something quieter, something more invisible. This is spiritual and emotional disconnection. It's the slow fading of color from the canvas of your daily life. Welcome to Mindful Way Television, where we don't rush to fix, but instead gently return. This is a space to breathe deeper, to slow down, and to remember what your soul may have been whispering for a long time now. That you're still here, that you still care, that even your numbness has a story. Let's begin by exploring how this emotional emptiness quietly creeps in, not all at once, but like a fog settling over familiar roads. That's when we begin to touch something even more elusive. Spiritual numbness. Spiritual numbness is not about losing faith. It's about losing the feeling of meaning. It's not that we stop believing in something greater, it's that we stop feeling it matters. It's what happens when sacredness is no longer sacred, when life is no longer alive, when the sunrise becomes just background light, not a miracle, when your breath is just another task, not a wonder. You wake up, check your to-do list, answer messages, respond to emails, go through routines, all while feeling like some essential thread connecting you to life itself has quietly unraveled. This numbness is not dramatic, it's not loud, but it is dangerous. Because in its silence, it makes us forget what it means to be deeply moved, to be awed, to be reverent, to feel small in the presence of something eternal. We live in an era of endless access. We have infinite knowledge at our fingertips, but knowledge isn't meaning. Information isn't wisdom. We are more connected than any generation in history, and yet we feel more isolated than ever. We are drowning in content, but starving for context. And in that noisy, hyper-efficient, endlessly stimulating world, the soul begins to whisper less. Not because it's gone, but because we've stopped listening. We've replaced wonder with noise, depth with speed, sacredness with spectacle. But what if the soul has been speaking this whole time just in a language the modern world forgot? In the next chapter, we'll look at how the very culture that demands we stay productive, perfect, and constantly available is also the one quietly training us to ignore our inner world. From the time we are children, we are taught a quiet but powerful lesson. Perform. Don't pause. Smile, even when it hurts. Be useful, not vulnerable. Be efficient, not emotional. We grow up in a system that praises productivity over presence. If you achieve, you're worthy. If you're busy, you're important. But if you're still, if you're feeling deeply, that's seen as weakness, as laziness, as inefficiency. And so, slowly, we begin to replace authenticity with performance. We become skilled at acting okay, even when we're crumbling inside. We wear masks so well that we forget what our real face looks like. We smile in photos, meet deadlines, return emails, all while our inner world grows quieter and colder. Because in a world that rewards function, feeling becomes a liability. But the soul was never designed for function alone. It wasn't made to meet quotas. It was made to seek meaning. It craves depth. It aches for stillness. It needs space to feel, to wonder, to break open, and begin again. When we ignore that inner longing long enough, something inside us starts to retreat. We don't even notice it at first. It's subtle, a little more exhaustion, a little less wonder. And then, one day, we realize we've gone numb. Numbness in that sense isn't failure, it's protection. A quiet protest of a soul that's been asked to function like a machine in a world that forgot how to feel. So, what do we do when we've been trained to suppress what's real? In the next chapter, we'll begin to uncover how escape in all its modern forms becomes our default coping strategy, and why that escape, while comforting, may be the very thing keeping us from coming back to life. In the last chapter, we looked at how we were conditioned to choose function over feeling, how we learned to suppress rather than express, to perform rather than pause. But what happens when the pressure becomes too much to bear? We don't break down, we escape. And escape is everywhere. We escape through busyness, through calendars packed so tightly there's no space left to feel anything at all. We escape through screens swiping endlessly, scrolling past the silence we're afraid to hear, numbing ourselves with noise, stimulation, distraction. We escape through our to-do lists, convinced that if we just complete one more task, we'll finally earn our rest, our peace, our sense of worth. We escape through dopamine loops, tiny hits of pleasure. A new message, a like, a sale, a sound. Not enough to fulfill us, but just enough to keep us going. But each time we choose distraction over discomfort, we make a silent trade. We trade presence for avoidance. We trade truth for control. We trade healing for relief. And that relief, it never lasts. It's fleeting like smoke, like mist. It leaves us emptier than before, because what we're really running from is not pain, it's meaning. The cost of constant escape is not just exhaustion, it's disconnection from others, from reality, from the self we're meant to become. The more we escape, the more we forget how to feel, and the longer we stay numb, the harder it becomes to find our way back. So the question isn't, how do I stop escaping? The question is, what am I afraid to feel? Asterisk. You no longer cry even when the pain is real, even when you want to. The tears stay stuck, like a river dammed by years of silence. It's not because you're too strong. It's because you've forgotten how to release. You struggle to name what you feel. You say, I'm tired, but it's deeper than fatigue. I'm fine, but it's emptier than honesty. Language fails, not because you lack words, but because your inner world has gone quiet. Beauty no longer moves you. Sunsets don't stop you. Music doesn't touch you. The small things that once sparked awe now pass by unnoticed. It's like someone turned the color down on your experience of life. You avoid silence not because you dislike peace, but because silence has become dangerous. It begins to reveal the ache. It brings up questions you've buried. In the quiet, the truth you've avoided starts to rise, and you don't feel ready to face it. But here's what matters most. These are not failures. They are not signs that you're broken. They are signs that you are human. They are not warnings to shut down further. They are invitations to come home. Because even in your numbness, your soul is speaking just in whispers. The ache, that's not the enemy, it's the opening. And as we move into the next chapter, we'll explore how this ache is not just a symptom, but perhaps the beginning of your return to feeling fully, deeply, and truly alive. In the last chapter, we explored the gentle but powerful signs that your soul is going quiet. But here's the truth that so many of us need to hear, especially when we feel numb, disconnected, or lost. This isn't who you are, it's where you are. You were not born numb. You were born with eyes wide open, full of wonder, curiosity, and the instinct to reach out and connect. You didn't enter this world shut down. You entered it soft, sensing, alive to every texture and sound, every smile and tone of voice. Your default setting was presence. So what you're feeling now, or not, feeling is not your flaw. It's not your failure, and it's definitely not your identity. It's a response. A wise, quiet, protective response from your nervous system, from your inner child, from the sacred part of you that once felt too much and learned to feel less just to survive. That numbness, it's how you stayed safe when life got too overwhelming. It's how your heart made sure it wouldn't shatter. But now maybe it's time to return. Not all at once, not in a burst, but in tiny, gentle steps, like thawing ice, like the first light after a long night. Because healing is not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before the world taught you to forget. It's about peeling back the layers of protection, not with force, but with grace. And so, as we move into the next chapter, we'll explore what those first gentle steps can look like. How to come back to life, not by fixing what's broken, but by feeling what's been frozen. In the previous chapter, we remembered that numbness is not your identity. It's a place you've arrived at, not who you are. So the question becomes, how do you come back? How do you return to yourself when you're not even sure what yourself feels like anymore? The answer is gentle and slow. You don't heal by demanding that your feelings show up on command. You heal by creating the kind of inner environment where they feel safe enough to return on their own. It starts with honoring the numbness. Yes, honoring it, not rejecting it, because that numbness once kept you safe. It was your shield when the world felt like too much. Now, it's time to gently let it soften. And here's how. Sit with stillness, even if it's uncomfortable. Let your body know that it no longer has to run. That silence won't swallow you. That you are safe, even in the absence of distraction. Write without judgment. *** journal. Even if the words feel hollow or awkward at first, don't worry about making sense. Just let something come out. Sometimes the truth begins as a whisper. Return to nature. ***. Go outside. Not to achieve clarity or inspiration, but simply to remember. Remember that you belong to something older, wilder, and slower than the digital world you've been trapped in. Seek soul-giving connection. ***. Talk to people who don't just respond to your words, but who see the pauses between them. People who can sit with your silence, not rush to fill it. People who hold space, not just conversation. This process is not linear. You'll have days where the numbness returns, where you want to distract, escape, disappear again. That's okay. Healing doesn't demand perfection. It only asks for presence. After everything we've uncovered, the silence, the numbness, the longing to return, you might still feel like you're walking this path alone. But here's the truth, your loneliness may not have told you yet. You are not alone. There are thousands, no, millions of people who feel what you feel. People who wake up and wonder why they feel disconnected from their own lives. People who laugh in public and cry in private. People who appear functional, but inside feel muted. You are not the only one carrying a quiet ache. You are not the only one struggling to care. You are not the only one wondering when joy will feel real again. This numbness? It's not a personal flaw. It's not something you caused. It is a collective wound shaped by a world that rewards speed over stillness, appearance over authenticity, and distraction over depth. And here's the beautiful part. If the wound is collective, then healing can be collective too. We can begin to remember together, to soften together, to feel again not in isolation but in community, through shared stories, through silent understanding, through spaces like this one. You are not alone in this, and you were never meant to heal alone either. Chapter 9. Remembering the Sacred. Now that you've remembered you are not alone, it's time to remember something even deeper. Why you're here. You are not here to meet deadlines. You are here to feel, to connect, to witness beauty, to hold space for grief, to laugh like it matters. You are not just a unit of output. You are not just a consumer of content. You are not a username, a data point, a digital echo. You are story. You are breath. You are presence. You are not broken. You are becoming. There is something sacred about you, not because you're perfect, but because you're real. The sacred is not something far away. It's not hidden in temples or locked behind rituals. It's in the way you watch the rain, the way you reach for someone's hand, the way your eyes soften when something finally makes sense. You have always carried the sacred, even in your numbness, even in your forgetting. If you're still here listening, breathing, absorbing this message, then your soul is already awakening. It never truly disappeared. It simply went quiet, not out of failure, but out of fatigue, waiting for a pause, waiting for you. Let this not be just the end of a video, let it be the beginning of something real. Not a dramatic transformation, not a loud epiphany, just one honest breath, one slow step toward yourself, one whisper of truth. Asterisk, I'm still here, and I still care. Asterisk, you don't have to fix everything today. You don't need to feel everything right now. But you can begin gently, truthfully, at your own pace. Let this be your turning point. Let this be your soft return to feeling. If this message touched something in you, even a small part, share it in the comments. Just type, I'm ready to feel again. Let someone else know they're not alone. Subscribe to Mindful Way Television, because this is more than just a channel. This is a reminder that you still belong to something deeper, something slower, something sacred. Watch the next video not to escape, but to awaken. Not to consume more, but to remember more of who you really are. Your presence matters. Your stillness matters. Your softness is not your weakness, it's your superpower. The world has enough noise. What it needs now is more of you. Asterisk. Not numb, not edited, but real, raw, and beautifully whole.